India, at its heart, is a secular democracy. This means that the Indian state guarantees freedom of religion to all its citizens. It does not discriminate on the basis of faith. This principle of secularism is enshrined in the Indian Constitution. It is a cornerstone of India's identity as a diverse and pluralistic nation. India is home to people of many faiths. Hindus, Muslims, Christians, Sikhs, Buddhists, and Jains coexist in this vibrant land. The Indian Constitution recognizes this diversity. It grants all citizens the right to practice, profess, and propagate their religion. This right is not absolute. It is subject to reasonable restrictions in the interest of public order, morality, and health. Secularism in India goes beyond mere tolerance. It is about active respect and acceptance of different religions. The Indian state does not favor any one religion over others. It treats all religions equally before the law. This commitment to secularism is what makes India unique. However, the ideal of secularism has always been tested in India. Social tensions and political opportunism sometimes threaten this delicate balance. It is in this context that one must examine the impact of recent laws passed under the government of Narendra Modi. Narendra Modi's rise to power in 2014 marked a turning point in Indian politics. Modi represents the Bharatiya Janata Party, or BJP. The BJP is a Hindu nationalist party. Hindu nationalism, or Hindutva, believes that India is fundamentally a Hindu nation. This ideology has gained significant ground in recent decades. Critics argue that Hindutva undermines India's secular fabric. It promotes the idea of Hindu supremacy. This raises concerns among religious minorities. They fear that their rights and freedoms are at risk. Muslims, in particular, have been vocal in expressing their anxieties. The BJP, however, maintains that its vision of India is inclusive. It argues that Hindutva is about cultural unity, not religious dominance. The party claims that its policies are aimed at the welfare of all Indians, regardless of their faith. Nevertheless, the rise of Hindu nationalism has undeniably shifted the political discourse in India. The debate over secularism versus Hindutva is at the heart of many contemporary issues. Understanding this context is crucial when analyzing the laws passed under the Modi government. These laws have sparked intense debate. Some see them as necessary reforms. Others view them as discriminatory measures targeting religious minorities. The Citizenship Amendment Act, or CAA, passed in 2019, ignited widespread protests across India. The Act amends India's citizenship law. It provides a pathway to citizenship for non-Muslim refugees from Afghanistan, Bangladesh, and Pakistan. These refugees must have arrived in India before December 2014. The Indian government argues that the CAA is a humanitarian act. It aims to protect persecuted religious minorities from neighboring countries. These countries have a history of discriminating against Hindus, Sikhs, Buddhists, Jains, Parsis, and Christians. However, critics argue that the CAA is discriminatory. It excludes Muslim refugees. This exclusion, they argue, violates Article 14 of the Indian Constitution. Article 14 guarantees equality before the law. By specifically excluding Muslims, the CAA creates a religious test for citizenship. This is a dangerous precedent in a secular democracy. The CAA has been challenged in court. Its implementation remains stalled. However, the law has already had a significant impact. It has deepened religious polarization in India. It has also fueled anxieties among Muslims about their place in Indian society. The Muslim Women Protection of Rights on Marriage Act of 2019 criminalizes the practice of instant triple talaq. Triple talaq, or talaq-e-bidat, allows a Muslim man to divorce his wife by uttering the word talaq 3 times. This practice has been a source of controversy for decades. The Indian government hailed the law as a victory for gender justice. It argued that the law empowers Muslim women. It protects them from arbitrary and unilateral divorce. The law makes instant triple talaq a cognizable offense. This means that police can arrest the accused husband without a warrant. However, the law has also faced criticism. Some argue that it is unnecessary interference in Muslim personal law. They contend that existing legal mechanisms were sufficient to address the issue of triple talaq. Others argue that the law is counterproductive. It could potentially worsen the situation of divorced Muslim women. The criminalization of triple talaq remains a contentious issue. While presented as a measure to protect women's rights, concerns linger about its potential to be misused against Muslim men. This highlights the complexities of legislating on matters of personal law in a diverse society like India. Section 5. The Waqf Amendment Bill. modernization or power grab. The Waqf Amendment Bill, passed in the lower house of Parliament in April 2025, has sparked outrage among India's Muslim community. The bill amends the law governing waqfs. Waqfs are charitable endowments, often land or property, held for religious or charitable purposes under Islamic law. The Indian government argues that the bill is necessary to modernize Waqf management. It aims to bring transparency and accountability to Waqf administration. The bill proposes greater government control over Waqf boards. It also mandates the inclusion of non-Muslims on these boards. However, Muslim organizations view the bill with deep suspicion. They see it as a blatant attempt to seize control of Muslim religious institutions and properties. The inclusion of non-Muslims on Waqf boards is particularly contentious. Critics see it as an infringement on the religious freedom of Muslims. The Waqf Amendment Bill has further fueled anxieties among Muslims about the erosion of their religious freedom. It has also deepened the trust deficit between the Muslim community and the government. The bill is currently pending in the upper house of Parliament. It is likely to face legal challenges if passed. Section 6. Jammu and Kashmir. Integration or disempowerment. The Jammu and Kashmir Reorganisation Act of 2019 revoked the special status of Jammu and Kashmir. This Muslim-majority region had enjoyed significant autonomy under Article 370 of the Indian Constitution. The act split the state into two union territories, Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. The Indian government argued that the move was necessary to integrate Jammu and Kashmir fully into India. It claimed that Article 370 was an obstacle to development and prosperity in the region. The government also argued that the move would curb terrorism and separatism. However, the move was met with widespread criticism. Critics viewed it as an assault on the identity and autonomy of Jammu and Kashmir. They argued that the government's actions were motivated by a desire to alter the demographics of the region. The communication blackout and security crackdown that accompanied the move further fueled resentment and anger. The abrogation of Article 370 remains a highly sensitive issue. While the government claims it will lead to peace and development, many Kashmiris feel a sense of betrayal and loss. This episode has significant implications for the future of democracy and federalism in India. Section 7. The Ayodhya Verdict, Justice Delivered or Discord Zone. The Supreme Court's verdict in the Ayodhya Ram Mandir case in 2019 was a landmark judgment. The case involved a long-standing dispute over a site in Ayodhya that was claimed by both Hindus and Muslims. Hindus believe that the site is the birthplace of Lord Ram. Muslims believe that a mosque, the Babri Masjid, stood on the site until it was demolished by Hindu mobs in 1992. The Supreme Court awarded the disputed land to a trust for the construction of a Ram temple. It also directed the government to allot a separate 5-acre plot of land for the construction of a mosque. The court acknowledged that the demolition of the Babri Masjid was a violation of the law. The verdict was welcomed by many Hindus. They saw it as a vindication of their faith and a righting of a historical wrong. However, the verdict left many Muslims feeling disappointed and apprehensive. While some accepted the verdict, others felt that it prioritized religious sentiments over historical evidence. The Ayodhya verdict highlights the challenges of balancing religious freedom with the rule of law in India. While the verdict brought closure to a long-standing dispute, it also underscored the deep religious divisions that persist in Indian society. Section 8. Beyond legislation, a climate of unease. Beyond these specific laws, a broader pattern of concern emerges. The rise in hate speech, often targeting religious minorities, is deeply troubling. Incidents of violence against Muslims, often fueled by rumors of cow slaughter or religious conversions, have been reported. While these incidents may not be directly linked to legislation, they contribute to an environment of fear and insecurity for minorities. Furthermore, the push for a Uniform Civil Code or UCC adds to this unease. A UCC would replace the personal laws based on religious scriptures with a common set of laws governing marriage, divorce, inheritance, and adoption for all citizens. While proponents argue that a UCC is necessary to promote national integration and gender equality, critics view it as an attempt to impose a Hindu majority ethos on minorities. This climate of unease is exacerbated by the perceived shrinking space for dissent. Critics argue that institutions meant to uphold democratic values, such as the judiciary and the media, are facing increasing pressure. This raises concerns about the future of India's democracy and its commitment to protecting the rights of all its citizens. Section 9. The future of secularism in India, a question of balance. The laws passed under the Modi government have ignited fierce debates about the future of secularism in India. While the government insists that its policies are aimed at the welfare of all citizens, critics argue that they disproportionately target and marginalize religious minorities, particularly Muslims. The challenge for India lies in finding a balance between respecting its diverse religious identities and upholding the principles of equality and non-discrimination enshrined in its constitution. This requires a commitment to dialogue, inclusivity, and the protection of fundamental rights for all citizens. The path ahead is fraught with challenges. The rise of religious nationalism and the shrinking space for dissent pose serious threats to India's secular fabric. However, the resilience of India's democracy and its long tradition of pluralism offer hope. The future of secularism in India depends on the choices made by its leaders and the vigilance of its citizens in safeguarding the values of equality, justice, and fraternity.